Hey guys, it's MyklSkeleton here, and today I'm going to show you how to play the Uwe Rosenberg game at the Gates of Loyang. It plays 1 to 4 players in 60 to 120 minutes. This game is all about the farming, planting vegetables, and harvesting them. It is the predecessor to Agricola, but it does not have any animal breeding or feeding your people or anything like that. It's all about the crops. This is going to be a longer video because the rules are a bit more involved than games I usually show on my channel. So let's just jump right into it. First, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the game. Then I'll show you how to set it up. Then I'll show you all the rules and how to play. And then finally, I'll go over the solo variant and give you my final thoughts. All right, so let's get to it. At the Gates of Loyang is played over a series of 9 rounds. The player who has advanced their scoring marker the highest on the path of prosperity at the end of the 9 rounds wins the game. You advance your scoring marker at the end of each round by paying money. You gain money by fulfilling orders from casual customers who will give you the indicated amount of money in exchange, or you can fulfill orders for regular customers who will give you more and more money as the rounds progress. A general player turn has you harvesting 1 vegetable from each of your fields and putting them in your storehouse, then flipping a new field. Then you draft cards with the other player, hoping to get more customers to sell vegetables to, more market stalls for exchanging your vegetables from one type to another, and helpers which have all sorts of different abilities that you can use on your turn and affect the game in some way. Finally, you use the vegetables that you harvested this turn to plant new fields, sell them back to your shop for money, or satisfy customers like I said before. You have very limited storage space from one round to the next. At the beginning of the game you can only store 1 vegetable, so you must make the most out of what you have. To set up your playing area, each player is going to take a T-shaped game board, $10 in cash. Take your storehouse with this side facing up and put it on the right side of the board. Put the turn summary card in easy reach. Your home field with a little house symbol up at the top left goes right above your board. Each player has 8 private fields, a set of 3, 4, 5, and 6, and a duplicate set. You're going to take one of those sets, shuffle them up, put them down, then take the other set, shuffle them up, and put them on top. Once you've got your private fields in order, they will go right next to your home field. Then stock your shop with vegetables, leaving the last 2 spaces, 1 bean and 1 leek, empty. Those are the light colored spaces on the board. Take a scoring marker and place it at the bottom of your scoring track on the number 1. Randomly determine a starting player and give them the starting player token. You'll also want to make sure that all the tokens are in easy reach of both players. The final thing you'll need to do before starting the game is purchase a vegetable to plant in your home field. You can purchase this from your shop. The wheat costs 3, the pumpkins cost 4, and the turnips cost 5. You can only purchase one of those 3 vegetables. Take the vegetable you'd like to purchase off your shop board and pay for it with your 10 starting dollars. So if we purchase a wheat, we'll have to pay 3 to the bank, and that will leave us with $7 to start the game. Now take that vegetable that you just purchased and plant it in your home field. To plant in this game means to take a vegetable that you already own, put it on an empty field, and then fill the rest of the spaces on that field with the same vegetable, but the tokens are taken from the general supply. Now that everything's all set up, let me show you how to play. The game is played over a series of 9 rounds. Each round consists of 3 phases: the harvest phase, the card phase, and the action phase. You begin a round with the harvest phase, where both players simultaneously harvest 1 vegetable from each of their fields and place it in their cart, which is the same card as their storeroom. If you emptied any of your fields, then if it was a private field with a green back, it will be discarded from the game. If it was a field you purchased during the game, it will have a cost at the top left, an orange back, and you'll place that in the discard pile. The very first round of the game, you will only have your home field to harvest, but you'll get more fields as the game goes on. After you've harvested your vegetables, turn over 1 new private field that you can plant later in the game. After the harvest phase is the card phase. You're going to take any cards in the discard pile and shuffle them into the deck. Deal 4 cards to each player. Note that there are 5 different cards in the action deck. There are only 6 common fields, but then there are helpers, market stalls, casual customers, and regular customers. Now we're going to play through the distribution round. Players alternate taking turns, starting with the player with the starting player token. In a 2-player game, the first thing you can do on your turn is flip over the top card of the draw deck. That goes to the courtyard. This is cards that are available to both players. Now the starting player needs to decide whether they want to take that card or if they want to wait. Let's say they want to wait. Now they have to play a card from their hand into the courtyard. Now it's the second player's turn. The first thing they can do in a 2-player game is flip the top card if they want. Now they get to decide whether they want any of those cards in the courtyard or if they want to wait. Let's say they wait, so they put one card from their hand into the courtyard. Now it goes back to the starting player. They may alternately flip a card if they so choose and decide if they want to take one of these cards. Let's say they do. They want to take that card they just flipped. They put this card, set it aside, and then they take one card from their hand that they want to keep. They set it aside with it, and then all other cards from their hand go to the courtyard. Once one player has taken a card from the courtyard, the second player needs to finish their turn. So now they have to take a card from the courtyard. Let's say they want this one. They also keep one card from their hand. Let's say they choose to keep that one. And then all other cards in their hand and in the courtyard are gathered up and put into a discard pile. It's also worth noting that if you're ever left with one card in your hand during the distribution round, then you must keep it and you must take one card from the courtyard. You may no longer keep passing. Also, the player who took cards last gets the starting player token and becomes the starting player for the action phase. Now both players have 2 cards, one that they took from the courtyard and one that was in their hand. Now they play both cards to their playing area immediately. The player board is color-coded and has symbols to show you exactly where to play each type of card. The market stall cards go in the top left, the helper cards bottom left, the regular customers go top right, and the casual customers go bottom right. There is no limit to how many cards you can have in each area. When you play a market stall card, you immediately fill it with one of each of the vegetables that are pictured. Helper cards go in the bottom left, and you can use them later in the game. Casual customers go to the bottom right, and you can fulfill their requests later in the game. Regular customers go in the top right, and you immediately put a satisfaction marker with the blue side up. I actually like to put it down here to show that I need to satisfy that this round. If you purchase the field card, you need to pay for it immediately, and then you get to put it next to the rest of your fields. Note that you can use helpers, sell vegetables to your shop, or take out a loan to pay for this field. You can take out a loan at any time. You immediately take a loan card and put it in your playing area. You receive $5. You can never repay it. And at the very end of the game, you're going to move back 1 space on your point track for every loan card that you have. Now it's time for the action phase. The starting player will go first. They will get to do as many actions as they want in any order they want. The only restriction is that you may only buy 1 2-pack per action round. Once the starting player has done all their actions and is satisfied, the next player will go and do the same thing. So let's go over each of the possible actions one at a time now. To sow a vegetable as seed, you take one of your vegetables from your cart, plant it in an empty field, and then you get to place more of the same vegetable in the rest of the plots on the field, taking them from the common supply. The top right of each field card shows exactly which type of vegetable can be planted in that field. You can buy vegetables from your shop if you have it available. You must just pay the indicated amount. So wheat costs 3, pumpkins 4, turnips 5, cabbage 5, beans 6, and leeks are 6. Pay the indicated amount, take the token from your shop, and put it in your cart. You can also sell vegetables back to your shop. If you've got them in your cart, you place them on your shop board as long as you have an empty space, and then you get the smaller amount of money. So the leek would get you $2, beans would get you $2, and everything else gets you $1. You may use your personal market cards to trade in some of the goods on your cart for different goods. The number of bowls below each resource shows how many you have to trade in to get that resource. So for the pumpkin, I need to trade in 1 resource from my cart, and I could take the pumpkin off the card and put it in my cart. Both the beans and the leeks in this case require 2. You can do 2 different resources, the 2 are the same, it doesn't matter. Once a market stall card is empty, it is removed from play and put into the discard pile. You may use or discard helper cards during the action phase. Helper cards are the only cards in the game that can be discarded without being used. This helps make the 2-packs cheaper, as we'll see later. And each helper card has a different effect on the game. You're going to have to read each card and take it on a case-by-case basis. Some cards can only be used during the harvest phase or other parts of the game, but for the most part they're used during the action phase, and you're just going to have to read each one to see what they do. Once you use a helper card, it is discarded to the discard pile. And if you don't want to use a helper card, you can discard it back to the discard pile without using it. You can buy a single 2-pack during each round. The cost of a 2-pack is the greater of the number of market stalls and or helper cards that you have. So in this case, it would cost $2 to buy a 2-pack because we have 2 market stalls and only 1 helper. And if we happen to have no market stalls or helpers, the 2-pack is free, but you can still only buy 1 per round. Now you might be wondering what a 2-pack exactly is. You draw the top 2 cards of the draw deck, and you get to decide whether you want to keep both of them, one of them, or none of them. If you keep one, it's all well and good. You just play it into the playing area. But if you keep both, you must put one on top of the other into your playing area. And then if you ever satisfy or discard somehow the card on top, the second card becomes revealed and you put that into the relevant playing area. So in the example I just showed you, if we kept both this casual customer and the helper card, we could stack them like this in our playing area. And then later on in the game, if I ever satisfy this casual customer by giving him what he wants, this card would go out of play, we'd get money, and this card would be revealed. This card immediately goes into the helper area because it's a helper card and now we can use it. To satisfy a casual customer, you just need all the vegetables that they desire. In this case, it's a turnip, a cabbage, and a leek. Once you satisfy all their needs, you have to do it all in one action. You get coins depending on the number of casual and regular customers you have. In this example, we have more regular customers than casual customers, so we will add 2 to the base price and get $13 total. Here we have an equal amount of casual and regular customers, so we will get only the base price of $11. And finally, here we have more casual customers than regular customers, so we will subtract 2 and only get $9. Once you've received your money and satisfied the card, that card is discarded back to the discard pile. Delivering to regular customers work a little bit differently. You need to deliver to your regular customers every single round, and if you don't, they will become dissatisfied, which is shown by flipping their satisfaction marker to the red side. An easy way to keep track of whether you've satisfied them or not this round is to move their satisfaction marker to the first open row at the beginning of the action phase. That tells you that you need to supply this regular customer with what he wants by the end of the action phase, or else you'll suffer a penalty. Note that you have to deliver to this regular customer the round you first buy him. If you ever don't satisfy him, then at the end of your action phase, you'll turn the satisfaction marker to red. And if you don't satisfy him when the satisfaction marker is already red, you must pay a 2-coin penalty. When you do deliver the goods he wants, simply move the satisfaction marker back up, put the goods on the card to show that you've satisfied him. The goods will stay there, they won't come off until he's been completely satisfied, and then you take the money indicated on the card. So if we gave this guy a pumpkin and a turnip, we would get $4. The next round, we would move the satisfaction marker to the second row to indicate we need to satisfy that one. Finally, you've completed the last row. You'll take your money, and this card will be discarded and go back to the discard pile. After both players take all their actions, you must now store vegetables. You store them by moving them from your cart to the storehouse, and the number indicates how many you can store between rounds. So you start off only being able to store 1 vegetable between one round to the next. If you've got other vegetables in your cart, you must either discard them or you can sell them back to the store if you have space and get money for them first. Now at this point in the game, you can also pay $2 to flip your storehouse. You only have to do that once. Once it's flipped, it will now be able to store 4 vegetables for the rest of the game. So after everyone's taken all of their actions and stored all of their vegetables, it's time to move your scoring marker along the path of prosperity. To move your first space on the scoring track each round, you only have to pay $1. So to go to 4 to 5, in this case, I only have to pay $1. Now each subsequent step I take, I need to pay the amount that's shown on the step. So to go from 5 to 6, I need to pay $6. And I can keep going up like that as much as I can afford. Now this third step would cost me $7 and I only have 6, so I must stop there. The game ends after the 9th round. Note that your home field has 9 spaces and you harvest 1 each round. So once you harvest the last one from your home field, everyone will complete that round. And then finally, you may pay one last time to go up the path of prosperity, just like normal. Note that if you have any loan cards at the end of the game, you'll have to move your marker back 1 for each loan card that you have. And then whoever's marker is on the highest score total will win. If both players are tied, whoever's got the most cash will win. And if it's still tied, then whoever has the most vegetables in their remaining fields and storehouse will win. And that's how you play at the Gates of Loyang. So now that you know how to play at the Gates of Loyang with 2 players, I thought I'd quickly go over the solo variant. Everything is the same as in 2 players, except for the distribution phase where you're drafting cards because you don't have anyone to draft against. So instead you set up this market. It's got 4 rows of 3 cards each. During the distribution phase, you get to buy 2 cards from this market. So you'll end up playing 2 cards just like in the normal game. Now the cards in the top row are free to purchase. The second row costs 1 and the last 2 rows cost 2 coins each to purchase. So let's say we bought this guy for free and this guy for $2. Now once you're done with that, to refill it, first you're going to discard the second row. Now all the other cards are going to move upward. For this one, this will move up to the second row. These 2 cards will fill in there. These 2 cards will go up to there. Then you're going to turn over new cards to refill everything else. And during the second round of the game, those will be your choices. It's also worth noting that some of the helper cards that interact with the other player have special rules at the bottom for the solo game.
All right, so that's how you play at the Gates of Loyang. It's a pretty quick game, actually. Usually between me and my wife, it only takes about 45 minutes to an hour. The one thing I do like about this game is that you can pretty much take your turns simultaneously. Unless one of you has a helper card that's going to affect the other player, you might as well both do your action phases at the same time. And then when you're ready to score, come back and do that step by step. That actually speeds up the game quite a bit. The other thing that speeds up the game is an organizer. So we picked up this organizer from a craft store, Joann Fabrics or Michael's, something like that. It was like $6 or $7. The setup and teardown of the game without the organizer is actually kind of long. But with the organizer, it's a breeze and we can play it a lot quicker. So I would definitely recommend getting something to help with the setup and teardown. Other than that, the game seemed to be pretty close because the point scoring only goes to 20 and you're getting 1 point a turn for $1, and then you got to pay extra. So as the game goes longer, it gets more and more expensive. So there's definitely an aspect of trying to keep up with the other player. If they paid to go up to, how can you pay to go up to? And if you fall behind, when can you make it up? So generally our scores are like 1 away from each other. We almost never take out loan cards. Those are very bad. I wouldn't suggest you do it. And we've actually tied quite a few times in this game to where money was the determining factor. And actually we've tied to where the number of crops in your field and storehouse at the end is a determining factor. So it always feels like a really tight race. But I appreciate a meaty game that plays within 45 minutes and we feel pretty satisfied. And it doesn't hurt that my wife loves farming games, so this takes out all the extra stuff and it's just about farming the crops. All right, and that's all I have to say about it, the Gates of Loyang. If you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up and a comment. Consider subscribing for future videos, and don't forget to check out past videos to learn how to play games that you might enjoy. And with that, MyklSkeleton is out. Keep on gaming.